Hello and welcome to the Biz Hub. Today's guest speaker is a true expert in IT, and together with his business partner Stuart, he runs Blucando, who deliver IT support to business locally, regionally and beyond. His business has grown from strength to strength with a straight-talking, hassle-free and user-friendly approach to their customers, offering support and guidance with the ever-evolving IT and tech needs of a business. Today, he's sharing his knowledge and experience on how to stay in control of your files and prevent your business from making a mess of your data and keeping you on the right side of the law. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please give a warm Biz Hub welcome to Ben Fielding.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Embarrassingly, I have someone else doing some tech for me now, so bear with me while we switch presentations. I'm just going to pretend I'm doing it for the camera, so it all looks fairly straightforward. Yeah, thanks everyone for coming today, and thanks everyone for joining us online. Thanks for the title, Emma. It's lovely. Stuart wasn't sure. I had to convince him it was fine. But you know what Stuart's like with. But Stuart's not the first. He really shouldn't throw stones when it comes to grammar and things. So I did remind him of that. So I'm not going to tread on Paul's toes because Paul's really going to dive into the security side of IT and some of the weaker parts of security, which is normally people, unfortunately. You can make systems of security but people at the end of a keyboard and giving things away is the scarier part of it. So Paul's going to cover a lot of that. If you think about securing your home, think to yourself, it's really obvious. I'm going to get an alarm, and I'm going to get some cameras up, and I'm going to put some locks on the doors. But actually, you need to think about, so what am I securing? Because it could be all your most valuable things are in the shed. All the most valuable things are in your car. So why haven't you put an alarm on your car? So again, I'm not going to talk about the putting security on the things. We're going to talk about where is my data? What do I need to actually worry about? Where are the things I should be concerned about? Now, we've got a number of companies that we've helped. I kind of ran out of time to put more logos on here, but here's a number of companies that we've helped to wrangle their data, bring their systems into order, help them understand where their data is, how their systems all fit in together. One of our favourite customers up here. Oh, I've got the wrong button. There we go, signal off the corner. And these range from Sohos, I think is the trendy phrase, up to 100-seat businesses. They've all got the same challenge, which is I need my systems to work for me. I need people to be able to work efficiently. Now, all of you probably think or hope that your business is as organised as this. Anyone name the movie?
Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Yeah, well, God, I knew you were going to get that one.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
This is the categorised, organised. Everyone knows where everything is. There's a label on everything, and the man knows where that box goes. And when you need something, he knows where to go and get the box to get the thing that you want. Reality is, and I've been into businesses that are really, really proud of their filing and their data control and data version control. Every business looks like this. It's just the way it is. There's all my data. Pretty sure that's where everything is. I'm pretty sure everyone knows not to go in there unless they're supposed to go in there. And if I need to find something, probably know roughly where it is. Now that's your view. That could work for you. And it could work for you as a business, as a Soho business. That could work for you. Do you know what? That's fine. Then you add another person in your business, and another person, and then a subcontractor, and then you start working with contracts with your clients, and then you start to have several versions of things as your business evolves, as simple as a price list for a cafe. There's a cafe that I went to in, where were we? Stratford, 2 weeks ago, and they just printed out the new menus, and they brought the menus out, and they put them on the tables. I sat down and thought, oh, bloody hell, that's cheaper than the place we went to down the road the other day. So I'll have the egg and bacon sandwich and cup of tea for £2.50. And the person at the counter just went white. No, it's £4.50. No, it's £2.50. Panic. Oh, we've printed off the menus from 4 years ago. Because on the desktop of the computer that they've got in the back, it says on the desktop, menu. Oh, great. No, that's not where the menus. Kept the menus here on this USB stick that we keep in the cupboard. Oh. So different versions, different places we keep them, but no one really knew. Now, it used to be really easy as a business, really, go back 20 years, really easy as a business to say, all my servers live in a corner of my building, all my computers are sat on desktop computers are sat on desks, connected onto my network. And when we print things out, we've got a policy is that paperwork doesn't leave the building. Very rarely did anyone work from home. Very rarely were people using things like cloud services. Everything was just in this lovely, great big box. It's there. We know where it is. And everyone was comfortable with that. The problem is that most businesses look like this now. Be it the people you work with, your suppliers, your cloud storage, your third-party web app that you've had built over here, your CRM solution, and your customers. I mean, so many people now. I mean, we've got a customer in California. I don't know how that happened. We got a referral. Can you look after IT? Yeah, brilliant. Now we're responsible for their systems, but they've got different regulations and laws over in the US. So we've got to think about this stuff. But we've got data and things that we're looking for all over the world. Now, I've started this with a couple of real-life scenarios. New business came to speak to us. So they've had a potential data breach. Someone's reported them to the ICO. The ICO's come and get involved. They get assigned a case officer. It says, potentially been a breach. I'm going to ask you a few questions. And the customer made these following statements. I can evidence where my data is. I said, great, okay, all right. Everyone knows where the latest versions of everything is. We've got control over our data. We've got version control. We've got archiving. Fantastic. I know who has access to my data. In my business, outside of my business, we've got named logins, and I know who's got access to what. Straightforward, no problems. And I can easily control access to my data. I can change permissions quite easily. Okay, so what's this data that's been found? Well, it's hundreds and hundreds of contracts with lots of information that's involved, and there's third parties involved. And it was a contract with a loosely linked to the NHS. They're quite interested in this because some of the contracts referred to patient data. There was no patient data in the files, but it referred to patient data as part of. And they were like, okay, well, if this stuff's got out, what else has got out? So then someone came in to investigate their systems. And they couldn't evidence where their data was. They had no document that says, this is what I store here, this is how it's stored, this is who it's provided by, and this is the data that's stored here, and here's how it's built and designed, and there was nothing. But when they said they could evidence where their data is, why did you say that to them? So, well, because I can see it on my desktop. Look, I can go to my server drive and go, S drive, there's all my data. That's my evidence, isn't it? So, well, that's where you think your data is. What about the rest of your data that's floating around? So there's one challenge that one customer's had. This is a common one. We'll probably get this once a month. New customers come to us and have had issues around this. We look after a lot of recruitment companies. If you speak to any recruitment business owner, how did you start your business? Well, I used to work at this other recruitment company, and I left, and I just so happened to have a copy of all the clients and candidates. So I went and poached all the business. Okay, so as a business owner, what's your biggest worry? Well, I'm really worried about people leaving and taking all the data and go, right, okay, all right. Someone leaves the business, the statement they make, yep, I know what they've got. They've got a laptop. That's fine. When they leave, I'm going to have that laptop back. I know they don't have copies of it because that's the only device they've got. They've just got, and we don't have printers. We don't print stuff anymore. And I know who prints, and they've got a laptop. So I know that the only copy they've got is on that computer. Great, okay, fair enough. I know what data that person who's leaving can access because everyone else in the team's got access to these folders, and they should have as well. Okay, all right. They're leaving, so what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to take the laptop off of them, and I'm going to disable their 365 account or the Google Workspace account. Cool, well, done, is it? Yeah, that's it. Okay. Well, their personal mobile phone. They have an email on their phone. You're on 365, so if they've got their email on, they can access the OneDrive, they can access the SharePoint, access Teams. Got anything restrictions in place for that? No. Do you stop people plugging USB drives into laptops? Oh, can you do that? Okay, so they might have copies of data on there. Maybe. Well, have you checked? Have they potentially emailed stuff to themselves? Maybe. Have you checked their sent items or checked your logs of your email? Have they been farming? Oh, hold on a second. I don't know. Have you disabled their HubSpot account? Oh, crap. Have you disabled your online platform, their logins to the online platform for posting jobs? Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. So going back to evidencing things, now I can evidence where my data is. If this customer, a particular customer, had evidence of where data is, they would then have an understanding of what they need to restrict access to when someone leaves the business or changes roles. And this is the one that gets most people, oh, excuse me, go the wrong way. I know what data you can access. Well, they used to work in accounts. And then what they've done is they got quite good at sales. Oh, there's a sales training opportunity. Why don't you move over into sales? And then they became an account manager. And then they became a lead account manager. And now they work in marketing. Okay, so you mean you might still have access to accounts data, sales data, marketing, basically everything. Oh, yeah, I never took that off. Well, they were kind of still helping out the accounts department for a while. Okay. So, how do we fix these problems? Well, let's start looking at what the problems actually are. And this is any business, doesn't matter what you do, how big you are, being able to answer these questions right now is going to help you in the future. And it could solve some problems for you now, but it's good to keep a track of this stuff. And I've seen people do this in a really simple way. I've seen people just have a spreadsheet, where is my data, and very simply, right, Dropbox, OneDrive, HubSpot, MailChimp, and they list them all out, and they go, right, and then they've got and who's got access to stuff? Great, I know where my data is, and I know roughly who's got access to it. This is what I started with. And it could be as simple as that. But where is your data is the first big question. Where are the latest versions and copies? Do you have stuff dotted around? How do you make sure people know where the latest versions and copies are? How is it accessed? When I say how is it accessed, you know how you access your data. Well, I've got my Dropbox synced on my desktop. Oh, but Dave doesn't do that. Dave goes onto dropbox.com and logs in. Okay, well, he doesn't do that. What he does, he makes someone email a copy to them. That's how, right, okay, well, let's understand this. And then how do you control access? So how are you restricting access and opening up access in a conscious way to make sure that everyone has access to what they need? And this could be as simple as somebody works on a Saturday at the front of his shop, and a customer comes in and says, do you know how long it's going to be till you get these in? Actually, I know where to find that information, rather than guessing, which most people would do if they don't know the answer, because people don't like to look stupid. Well, how long's it been? Oh, I'm sure they'll be in next week. Well, hold on a minute. I've got a log on a system here that says to me, delivery date, 14th October. Would you like me to reserve some for you? Just because they've been able to do that because they've got access to the right data, because you can control how much access people might have to certain data. Right, so this is, so I've got this in red because this is the questions. We're going to get you from red to green today. This is the plan. So let's look at the first question here. So where is your data? Where could your data be? And this is just a handful, and this probably ticks boxes for most of the businesses and most of the people watching this. Most of the businesses that are here, sorry. So your standards, you're on Microsoft 365, you're going to have OneDrive, you might be using SharePoint, you might be using Teams, which has got SharePoint on the back of it. From a data storage perspective, you might be on Google Workspace, you might just have a Gmail account you're using, you've got Google Drive, you might be using Dropbox. There are a dozen more than this. I've just picked the common ones people use. But cloud storage. And there's two ways you can consume a lot of this storage. Personal, designed for you at home accounts, and then your business type accounts, which normally means you can have multiple people accessing things and control who's accessing what. The computers, the hard drives, yes, they might be in here, but you might also be syncing it onto your computer. You might have another copy in your downloads folder. You might have another copy in your email synced down onto your computer. You might have it on your desktop. And again, several copies potentially of where this data is. Mobiles, we talked about this. You've got a cloud service. There's an app. You can sync it. It's now on your mobile phone. We had a recruitment company we onboarded last year. We helped them put a policy in place as if you insist on using, because they didn't want to go to town on security, if you insist on using your mobile phone to access company data, you give it to us and we make sure you've got PIN codes and we make sure that you haven't got facial recognition and fingerprint unlock. So this was their policy. We're going to do this, and when you leave, you're signing this to say, when you leave, we will take that device off you and delete everything that we can find on there that's to do with the business. There's technical ways of doing this, but they don't want to spend the money. But as long as they've got a policy and a process, great. USB drives. USB drives, Western Digital Cloud, basically a USB drive on your network. NAS drives is another name for them, but local disk storage or plug in, plug out kind of storage that you might be using. You think, so, oh, you use USB drives anymore. But it might have been, oh, you need all this marketing gump, all the internet's slow, right, plug, copy. There you go, Dave, hit the road. You've now got all the data. Put it out on your computer. Where's the USB drive gone? No idea. Your website. So you've got the publicly available data on your website. You've potentially got old pages of your website that you've now taken the menu off to link to, but the page is still there. It's all searchable through Google, or someone with an old link could get to it. Could have old information on your website. You could have 4 or 5 different versions of a page on your website. You could have really naff security on your website, and the password is password, and someone can get in and access to everything. If you've got databases hanging off the back of your website, you've got login capability for clients with data, files, storage. Again, marketing information, price lists, anything that you want your customers to have ready access to. The common one is the, come and fill this in now and I'll send you a free ebook. But some people forget they've got these things up there, and the book that you've published, or the whatever it is, 9 years old. They might have your pricing in there, and I'm only £250 a day. Someone rings you up, oh crap, was there a little bit in there these prices are only valid until, there's some get out of jail free cards here. Your CRM system, crazy amounts of data in there. Who people are, where they are, all their contact information, potentially deals you've done with them, how much they've spent with you, could have all your supplier information in there. You've got lists of what people like because they filled in some kind of questionnaire to get that free thing that you want to send them. Crazy amounts of data that really you should worry about in your CRM system. But it might not be the CRM system you use. You might have gone with the free one, and then a year later gone, oh, actually, I really want to use this one. But there's not really much in there. I'm just going to start using this one. That's still lingering. That data's still there. You're still responsible for that data until you kind of backle that out and close it down. And I've just generically put other online services. There's a million things out there, your Zaps and your connectors and your syncing and your mailers and all this other stuff, but you've pumped data into these systems. And it could be as simple as, and Paul will talk about this a bit next week, it could be as simple as the data that you left out there is your username and password to a fairly new, maybe not particularly professional website service that then gets hacked. They've got your username and password, and then. But Paul will cover that in a lot of detail. He's very good at that. Where's the latest version of your data? Again, touched on this. Local copies of files. The cafe I went to, tripped them up. I've seen, and I've had a supplier send me a 5-year-old version of a contract before. Love the prices in there. I'm signing that straight away. Get my first invoice. Oh, I think you'll find. Oh, that's an old version of the contract. Well, that's valid for a year. Yeah, but we need to. Do we? I don't think we need to do anything. I'm quite liking the 30% cheaper than you said it was going to be on your website. Local copies could be in your sent items, in a folder in your email that you've just stored away, in Outlook on your desktop or whatever, or Apple Mail if you're a Mac user. That's just potentially a local copy of that document you might keep referring to. My favorite one is the downloads folder. I've downloaded that thing off of whatever website. It's in your downloads folder. It's in your recent files, and you just keep updating that. And maybe forget, oh, maybe I should have put that in my cloud storage or uploaded to my whatever it's going to be. One of the challenges you've got is how do you manage, and this is slightly going away from just asking you questions you need to think about. This is thinking about your processes more. So how do you manage changes to your data? So again, thinking about that price list, thinking about that marketing information, thinking about that menu, order forms, whatever it might be that you've got, how do you manage a change to that? Another real world example, it's great. We've got a folder on our, whatever it is, Google Drive, Google Shared Drives, was for this particular customer, and all of our core documents in there. It's our DMS, it's our document management system. Templates, policies, procedures, forms, it's amazing. The problem is they've got autosave enabled. So someone goes in and opens that Word document, that Excel document, that PowerPoint file, starts making changes. It's automatically saving those changes. Then they go, right, save as. The originals had it. They've overwritten, they've tweaked it, they've changed it. So how do you restrict people making unexpected changes to your documents? But then when you do need to make changes to documents, you're going, right, and this is now version whatever it's going to be. This is the latest version. This is the one we use. I'm going to archive off my old versions. So managing versions, managing changes to your documents and managing versions is really important as you start to work with other people. And the easy access to avoid workarounds. What do I mean by that? Having the core files or pictures or images, videos, whatever it might be, in a place that your team or your customers can get ready access to without going, oh, I've got to log on to that thing. Oh, what's my password? Don't worry, I emailed that to someone a month ago, so I'm just going to grab that and resend that one. Because that was easier, or using the one that the copy they put on their desktop, that was easier than logging on to that other system to drill down, like, I just can't remember where it is. Naming conventions of files. If you're going to name something, make it easy for people to find. Have a simple filing system. You don't have to have folders and folders and folders and folders if you have a naming convention for your documents. It's a template, it's a form, it's a contract. And then after that, it's this contract, it's that one. And then your versions, right? Oh, I know we're on version everything now. It could be as simple as one of my customers, every 6 months, reviews all their templates and then updates them to say the month and year that they were reviewed. So anyone can look at it and go, and everyone's told, we're now on July 20 for our versions. Great, okay, I know that. If I see anything before that, don't touch it. Again, it's a really basic way of doing it, but it works for them and it takes them 20 minutes to do every few months. Start to tread on Paul's toes a little bit here, but how do people access data? We've just reverse engineered a new customer's, I hadn't realized they'd done it, accidentally using personal Google accounts for all of their 30 staff to access shared company data. Because they're on Microsoft 365, but the business owner had his own personal Google account. Now, it was a personal Google account, but he had the sign-in name of his work email address. In his head, a work account, but it's not a business account, it's not a licensed account, it's a free account. Oh, Ellie in marketing, I need to share a folder with you. Are you on Google? You got Google? Yeah, Google. What's your email address? Right, share. And within a year, everyone's now got their own personal Google accounts, and he's moved all of his company data into his personal Google Drive, and everyone's accessing it from their own personal Google accounts. Now, when that person leaves, what rights do you have to say, can I just go in your personal Google account and make sure you haven't got any company data in there? Really dangerous territory to be treading on here. And the fact their personal Google account is signed into Chrome at work, it's signed into Chrome at home, they're signed into their Android phone. That's theirs, it's very much theirs. And this data is now everywhere. You've got no control over that at all. So looking to see if you have got personal accounts, personal accounts logged into various cloud services or apps that you might be using throughout your business, because you don't have any control over that at all. Local logins, so we're talking about computers. So really easy with Windows, pain in the arse with Macs, but controlling the logins to devices. So when we talk about local logins, you buy a computer, you start it up, and it says what username do you want, and that's it. That's now a locally managed account on that device. You can't centrally control that at all. If you're on Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace, there's stuff you can do with Windows very easily to control and connect those systems together to turn it from a local login to a permissioned kind of login from the cloud, and it's allowing it. And you can make changes and restrictions and block logins and do all sorts of stuff. Possible with Macs spending loads of money. Macs aren't designed to really integrate with enterprise systems of any shape or form, but there's a load of third-party products you can get to do this, but it takes days and weeks to set up and cost you lots of money. Possible, but it's just considering, and all I say to people is, just be mindful that you've got this in place. And that when you need to make changes, when someone unexpectedly leaves your business from your choice, could you just pop into the meeting room with me and bring your laptop and your phone and your keys? Yeah. Or could you just leave that with IT while we have a chat? But it's just mindful that in this days of remote working, that becomes a bit tougher to do if the only account that they've got on that computer is locally their login, and you're going to sack them, then ask them to ship their laptop in. You can't press a button that goes, can't do that anymore, can't log on anymore. You need to realise that and tweak your processes to accommodate that at the very least. Third parties, what do I mean by third parties? Your subcontractors, your clients, your suppliers, you might have shares of data with these people. Might have given them a login to your systems. Obviously, a lot of subcontractors that are going to represent your business. We're talking about VAs, bookkeepers, accountants, consultants, all sorts of people might have a login to your email, your Sage, your OneDrive, your Xero, your QuickBooks. Okay, other people have access here. I need to think about this. I need to control this. And passwords. I mean, it seems like a weird thing to put in that login, but how do you control access to your data? Do you have a policy on passwords? Do you say to people, don't put a Post-it on your laptop with your password on? Don't tell everyone what your passwords are. Oh, Jenny's off next week. Oh, it's fine. She will leave her password and we can log on and check her email. There's other ways of doing this. Now, passwords are yours and yours alone. There's other ways to get other people to access stuff. Don't just willy-nilly give your passwords away. And then having a policy around complexity of passwords. And again, Paul might touch on this. The IT security industry is there's two camps of thought here. One is make them complicated, make them unique, and that's it. You have that password. But you don't have to regularly change it, because if you regularly change it, you encourage people to just incrementally change their password. I'll put a 1 on it, a 2 on it, a 3 on it, a 4 on it. Or you encourage people to write it down, the little book on their phone. The other camp is you should get people to change their passwords every 30, 45, 60 days because they might lose that password. Personal choice, really, but I have pros and cons of both. But have a password policy, understand what it is to have passwords in your system. Passwords are important because, who got done? Dorothy Perkins, was it, a couple of years ago? Their website got hacked. Everyone's unique email address and passwords, loads stolen. And I only picked Dorothy Perkins because a friend of the family got done with this and was like, I know that I only ever use that particular password in 2 places, Hotmail and Dorothy Perkins. I said, why is that? Because I never use a password more than 2 times. And my Hotmail's been hacked. Do you think it could have been? I was like, well, actually, yeah, 6 months ago, Dorothy Perkins said we got a breach. And so he knew that password from Dorothy Perkins had been used to access his Hotmail account because it was the same password and same email address. So having a unique password for each system protects you against that, because one supplier gets hacked, one website gets hacked, that password's useless anywhere else. Google make this easy, caching of passwords. There's password keepers, auto password generators. My passwords are ridiculously long and pointless in trying to remember them. So my password vault, copy paste in, done. But I'll trod on at least 4 of Paul's toes there, so I shall stop now. Controlling access. Oh, it's unbelievable how many people use the same account to do lots of things. I use it, I've got my Microsoft account and it's going to be, that logs onto my email, but it's also the administrator now for Microsoft 365. No. Have a unique account for you, your email, your little 365 services. Have another account to do the administration of your systems. Giving people the shared account. Again, it's you need to access the system. The logins, accounts at mybusiness.com, and this is the password. Okay, then they leave. So you're going to change the password when they leave because they know the password to that system that they can just go online, log on to? Or do you create logons for people? Xero is a great one. The amount of people who don't realize you can create as many accounts as you like to log into Xero, they just give their bookkeeper or their accountant their login. And then they get a book, then I'm going to hire a bookkeeper. I'm going to give them the username and password as well. And now I've got a junior salesperson who's going to be generating quotes, so I'm going to give them the login as well. And then one of those leaves, or you don't work with them anymore. Have you thought about who's got copies of those keys? Time to change the locks, or easily change the password. But you can easily just go and create individual named accounts for each person. That's yours. I've given that to you. Keep a track of the fact you've given that to them, and when you don't work with them anymore, there's your list of what you've given them, and go, I have your laptop back, your phone back, and I'm going to go and delete your Xero account. I'm going to block your 365 account, your Google account. You've got all this stuff recorded. The start leaver process is one of the things that gets flagged up if you ever go through Cybersecurity Essentials, which is a self-certificated, basically you can lie if you want to, but I don't advise it because it's a really good process to go through. Self-certificated, I've got best practice in my business when it comes to cybersecurity. And access control is what they were referred to the starter lever process. It's controlling access. Someone joins my business, I give them assets. I give them a computer, I give them these 5 logins, I give them keys to the building. I've got a record of that, they're leaving. I know what they've been given, I pull it back. And if something changes, you ever give them something new, I mean, we get a bit over the top. Dawn in our office knows how many branded shirts someone's had, and I mean, how many pairs of pants. No, we don't do branded pants. Stuart had his way, we would do. But we've had this, you've had this, you've had this, you've had this, you're leaving, right, I'm going to pull all this stuff back. Reviewing access. Okay, let's just sense check who's got access to the system. Should they still have access to this system? I might have a process to capture this, but I might have accidentally promoted someone internally or moved them into another department without really realizing that was what I was doing. And they've asked someone else, oh, I need to get in the marketing folder. Oh, yeah, no problems. Yeah, let's put you in the marketing folder or the accounts folder or the worst ones. But every now and again, just going, right, so who's got permissions to this and should they have it? You might do it once a quarter, half year, annually. I think as long as you do it, you think, right, let me go through my Xero, let me go through my HubSpot, let me go through whatever it is you use. Who's got a login? Oh, God, they left. They left 4 months ago. Well, they didn't really leave. We've moved them onto a 0-hour contract. Yeah, but are we actually going to be using them at all? Well, we haven't used them in 4 months. Yeah, but they've still got live logons to your systems. Yeah. Turns out they work for a competitor now. I should probably go and change all those permissions and lock down accounts. So it's just, again, thinking about it. We recently got a new front door. And so how many keys do we need? And it's really annoying, super secure front door, really bloody expensive keys. I have 30 quid each, these keys. It's ridiculous, especially ridiculous because I need one, my wife needs one, my son needs one, the cleaner needs one, the babysitter needs one, the childminder / babysitter needs one, my mum and dad, mother-in-law, father-in-law, and they insist on us having a spare in case of emergencies outside of the house, plus we've got a spare in our house that if we do get someone else come to babysit, you can lock us out on the way out. Oh, Jesus. Did these people already have keys? Right, and it was a bit like the episode of Friends, when they, and everyone was just handing their old copy of the keys back. Oh, and I've got a copy of your back door key. Oh, I've got a copy of your garage key for some reason as well. Where's that key from? Oh, that's from our old house. Oh, why have you still got that? Oh, I don't know. So, we've now got a list. Who has got a key? They've all got keys. Right, if anything ever changes, I know where my keys are, I know what's going on. So that's kind of reviewing my access. One thing to think about is don't just give access by default. It's the wrong way of doing security of your, if you think about folder structure, and you can give certain people permissions to certain folders, some companies go, well, there's nothing bad in there, just give them access to everything, because there's nothing secret. Yeah, but they don't need access to it. And what if they start to file things in a place that shouldn't be in that particular place? You've made their job a little bit more complicated. And what if someone deletes a file in that folder? Well, who was it? Well, everyone's got access. We'd have to try and figure out what went on here. So you need access to that folder, great. And now their jobs are, oh, actually, you need access to that folder. Right, let me give that as well. Let me give that as well. Let me give that as well. It's just opening things up. It's like giving your teenagers freedom. You don't just all of a sudden one day go, you should come and go as you please. No. You start with right, 10 o'clock. Well, it's a Friday night, so Friday's now a 10:30. And you mean, okay, right. Now, you got midnight on that special night because it's that path, right? Not freedom or access by default. It's planned and it's recorded as well, as I've done with my teenage son. Evidence that we let you out till that time. And central control if you can. Is anyone using Google Workspace? Anyone use that for their email? No? Someone who's watching the video might. The basic licensing gives you email and it gives you your own Google Drives. And everyone's used to Gmail and having a Google Drive. The next step up of the business licensing gives you shared drives. So it gives you control to centrally manage permissions. Anyone on Microsoft 365? A few hands up over there, yeah. Again, you can use, and SharePoint's a huge thing that can do a million stuff, but one simple way people use it is creating folder structures and permission folder structures. Again, it's centrally managed, centrally controlled. You're controlling people's logins to your systems. There's something called single sign-on. So what you can do if you use a CRM system, so I'll pick Bullhorn CRM, it's a recruitment CRM solution. You can do a little bit of funky code between Bullhorn and Microsoft 365. And now what it's doing is you're logging on to Bullhorn with your Microsoft account. Someone leaves, disable that account, they can't log on to that anymore. One click of one button, multiple systems protected. Some of this stuff takes 10 minutes to do. Some of this stuff can take a couple of hours to do. But a lot of it's very, very simple. So, and I'll make sure, obviously there's a copy of this going out on video here. If you can kind of go through this process and start to answer those questions, you might give yourself a bit of a to-do list of, at some point, now or in the future, I'd like to be able to resolve these issues or have the control that this gives me. At the very least, having written down where you are, where you want to be, where your data is, how you do it. If you ever get a knock on the door, you can say, well, here's my policies, my procedures, here's my document of where I'll keep all my data, and this is and this is my plan. I know we've had a breach and this has gone awry, but actually in 3 months' time, I was planning to fix that problem. Normally the ICO want to know that you're conscious, that you're doing something, that you're planning to do something, and they get that not everyone is in nirvana yet, that everyone's on a journey. But you hope you can get to the point where you say, I can evidence where my data is 100%. I know where my data is stored, who's got access to it, I can control access to it, and everyone knows this is my live data. You have a way of archiving off old ones. I mean, the ICO don't really care if you're sending out old versions of price lists and contracts. It's not really, doesn't bother them too much, but it shows that you've got control. It shows that you understand data in your business. Wouldn't be BizHub talk without a special offer. So let's just pick someone. I know I was talking to someone about this yesterday, and they said, I'm going to watch a video, and then I'm going to take up on your special offer. Right, okay. They're a 9-people business, and they're going to take me up on an offer. And what I've offered them and what I'm offering you guys, 1-hour session online. So we'll do a Zoom, Teams, screen share type setup, whatever you use. Pick 2 employees, so 2 systems, 2 devices, just to give me a window into your business. Pick 3 of your cloud services, so it could be a 365, could be a HubSpot, could be a Xero, just because they're commonly used ones, and then 4 free. I thought that was funny yesterday, turns out it's not. But if you're interested in some free help and support, if you want some help in your business or just want to have a chat, we might loosely work around this framework, but you just want to kind of just have a bit of confidence that you're either doing stuff right, that you've got your head in the right place, or things aren't right and you want to get stuff sorted out. It's our mainline number, 0333 123 3007, or email data@blucando.it. We'll get some time booked in, and we'll just help you get control, be confident that you have got at least a defensive ring around your data. You know where it is, and get your arms around these little children of yours. I've got them safe. Okay, and then next week, Paul will dive into a bit more about how you look after those keys, how you look after those barriers that you've built up, and how to educate your people. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to Ben. A lot to unpack there. A lot of questions, no doubt, that are ticking through your head. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break, top up your glasses, have a comfort break, and we'll be back, and no doubt quite a few questions, points to raise, things to get into. Speak to you in 5. See you in a bit.
Cheers.
Fabulous, wonderful. Well, thank you once again. A very interesting talk, Ben, as always. Things to think about, things to illuminate. Any questions? Any questions?
The ICO,
Yes.
the other day, so I started this about 4 years ago. We do one product, it hasn't gone very well, and I'll be closing it down. But the other day, I got an email out of the group saying, you owe us a yearly fee. And I was like, no, I don't. And they didn't say anything about what, it was all they just said, you're holding data, you need to give us a yearly fee. I went back and said, as far as I'm aware, I'm not holding any data, which you'll probably tell me if I am. But what's the form of that?
So, your registration fee, I think they call it, for the Information Commissions Officer, it's really vague. The way they address it is if you process personal identifiable data, PID, so names, email addresses, phone numbers. If your business is to process that information, you have to be registered with the ICO. Now, their argument is everyone processes it.
You're quite right. It's personally identifiable data, and it's processing. And what does processing mean? You're in on screen to process.
I didn't write anything down, so I just sell a product online, send it out.
Yeah,
I've got the address, I suppose, somewhere. So is that processing data?
You're processing addresses, names, what they've ordered.
So I have to pay them for that. Correct. Because they don't come and say, we're going to give you a service. They don't say,
But-
you need to do this. They just say, you have to pay.
But you don't have to be a member by law.
Right.
So there's no legal precedent that says you have to pay them that money every year.
Okay. So they certainly
But as far as they're concerned, if you process information. So if you ask them the question, so this is how it works, do I need to register with the ICO? They will just basically go back to the statement. If your business processes personal information, then you require membership. They will never give you a straight answer.
With the ICO.
Oh, sorry. You are. No, you've got employees, suppliers. Yeah. That's data. Data isn't a subset of information. Information is data. If you hold that data in any format, whether it's on paperwork, it's on a screen, on a stick, and it is personally identifiable, in other words, somebody could read it and know about somebody else, then you're processing data. And I'll give you an example that happened to me the other day, and I spoke to Keith about this. I was stood in Boots. I was waiting to speak to the pharmacist. Pharmacist steps forward and says, Mrs. So-and-so and such and such. And she says, that's me. And he says, could you tell me your address, please? And he reads it on the label as she reads it out, and he goes, there we go. That is a breach of GDPR because I now know her name and address and that she's taking some form of drug, and so therefore could start to build and form a profile around that person. So it shows you that it's not just sitting at a computer looking at data that you've got stored in a database. It's anything that could identify a real living data subject, human being, and somebody could use that information if they so desired.
Yeah, but if you've got employees, you've got clients, you've got prospects, you've got suppliers, if you've got employees, full stop, you need to be registered. If you've got clients and suppliers, any of them are sole traders or partnerships, you need to be registered.
By registering, what does it get you? They don't
They
get anything. You don't get anything for it. You give money to these people. They go, well, thanks very much.
Let me put it the other way. If you're not registered, potentially you get a fine of £4,000.
But what do they do for it?
It's the law. It's like that. You just have to do it.
So why am I registering doing someone money? They don't even give you a guideline of what you should be doing.
Well, they do. It's all on their
It's
website.
on their website. And if you go on the website, there's a self-assessment guide to fill in that you simply go through the self-assessment. It will tell you whether you need to be registered and how much you need to pay. Most businesses don't need to register. However, the ISO at the moment know that only between 20 and 25% of businesses are actually registered. The reason the drive is going out at the moment, why you get these emails, why people get these letters, is because, partly because with the current state of the national finance but you should register anyway, because if you don't register and you have a date, if you have a date breach anyway, you have a problem. You're not registered and you have a date breach, you have a big problem. Because if you're not registered, you're almost certain that the ISO will audit you. And you don't want that, because it takes days and days of your time, and weeks, and you end up employing somebody.
It's a little bit like HMRC, returning a tax return. Even if you've done nothing and there's no tax to pay, you don't return one, they'll start fining you. Even if you return one at a later date, which shows 0 and you owe nothing, you still owe that fine. And if they then audit you and it then turns out you do owe the money, oh boy, Lou.
I just wanted to quickly revisit that, the scenario in the chemist, because every chemist in the land does that, so they're all in breach. What is the workaround? Because they've got to identify who you are to give you the medicine, because that is their...
The workaround for the chemist is that they should ask you to write your address down.
Right, okay.
And then you should pass it to them.
Okay.
And they should say, yeah, that's the same address.
And then they destroy the piece of paper.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they used to do a similar thing to that. You'd be given a token and they'd say, number 62. And then you'd hand it to 62 and you'd get your sack of goodies.
Right, okay. But yeah, they're all in breach, because they all do it everywhere. Right.
Yeah.
Good.
But basically, the thing I would say to everybody in the room that is really important is if you get one of those emails or a letter in the post in the ICO at the moment, do not ignore it, because if you ignore it, 30 days time, you get an automatic fine of 400 quid.
Yeah. And what is it now? It's
The actual fee?
yeah, it's £45 a year or something.
Yes, but they have guessed that they've made a best guess. If you've not registered.
If you register, it will work it out for you. For most sole traders, it's £35 a year.
And I don't want these businesses. It's like PRS, the music people in our business, and then last year PPL just appeared from nowhere, and they're the same company, and they're like, well, now you have to pay for us as well. And we're like, well, where the hell did you come from? And then it's law that you have to pay.
See, I used to music on in the horse box.
Yeah.
And then I went to register and I was like, I'm not paying that. I'm standing in silence.
Have a radio playing in your commercial kitchen.
Well, such is the cost.
Such is life, but yeah.
Such is the cost. Emma, yes, please.
So if you have a company, you have multiple staff and multiple logins, multiple platforms, what would you reckon is the best way to store those?
So recording, well, there's different ways of doing it. So just recording that people have been assigned those assets. We kind of think about this, whether it's a physical asset or a data asset, you've given them something. You've given them a physical key or a virtual key into your system. So at the very least, as an employee, you've been given this laptop, this mobile phone, a login to this system, a login to this system. You don't need to record, and shouldn't record, I should say, their passwords to those systems, because they should only be known by them. Now, if you're thinking more about, then there might be a shared login to a system. Again, you can educate people around, okay, this is a shared login to the system because it's the only way this system works. It might only be able to have one login. This is the password for it. But if someone leaves, we will be changing the password and we'll let you know what the passwords are. A lot of people look at password vaults. So if you've got shared generic logins, obviously we've got a lot of logins to a lot of systems. So we've got a password vault, which is protected way more than it would ever need to be, but belt and braces. And then so everyone has a unique login with a password and then another password. So it's a secondary password to a password vault. And then we assign permissions to subsets of folders. So some people can view passwords, some people can modify passwords, and some people can delete passwords. Yes, we use a system. I'll tell you what it is. But there are, I know a lot of people that use LastPass, 1Password. Yes, LastPass had a pretty unfortunate event going back in the last 3-4 years ago, where they had an issue, but actually I see that as a positive thing. They've had a problem, they've had a breach, it scared the crap out of them, right? And they fixed it and beyond fixed it because they can't afford for that to happen again. But yeah, and then LastPass, things like LastPass, Picked Access, the last one I was looking at with a customer. You can go for like the business version of it where you can give everyone their own login to LastPass, and assign them permissions to certain passwords within LastPass. So everyone can have, I can't remember the code for the alarm to get into the building. Right, in LastPass, oh, there it is, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, of course it is. And off we go.
Sorry, Ben, did you say that with that, you can have restricted access within that? So some people can access it but not edit?
Yes.
Can you put
Yeah, you really fine tune. And again, I always go down to give everyone the least permissions they need, and as you need something, right, I'll let you access that. I'll let you be able to do that. And if you can do this, have 2 administrators for these kind of systems, because people leave, get sick, don't turn up for work, whatever it is, and it's always the day you need the password is the day that they're on holiday and then taking the mobile phone with them. Yeah.
We had somebody in the recruitment space came to us who was a web developer, and he said one of my customers had a breach, and what had happened was they had a website that he'd developed and they wanted a file upload for CVs, and so everyone uploaded their file to the website, and the file then sat there and they got a notification. They went in and got all the details of the person. Straightforward, yeah? Everything's locked behind an email address and a password, and they had various people who could log in, so they knew who was logging in and accessing the website. What they hadn't done is told Google not to index the folder where all the CVs were going, and if you went to Google, you could find all of the CVs, and there was somebody who had tweeted them about it. They'd ignored him. He tweeted them again that said, I can still access it, and now I've told the ICO, and they wanted me to get rid of him. And I'm like, I'm not being party to a breach and a cover-up. If you don't tell the ICO, I have a legal responsibility now. Within 72 hours, I've been notified of the breach. I have to tell the ICO. And he was like, oh. I said, so any attempt at a cover-up is just going to make this worse. Go to the ICO, put your hand in the air, and say, there's been this issue, but we're on it, and these are the mitigating circumstances. And actually, the ICO didn't issue them the fine. They worked with them because we locked it down. They put 2 sets of white hat hackers on it, and thankfully, we were able to secure it to a point where nobody could get in. Lou?
Can I, just on that point, with regard to reporting to the ICO, if you do have a breach, you don't, my understanding is that you don't have to actually report to the ICO, you just have to have a register of it if you've rectified the breach. If there's between the 2 parties.
It depends how serious the breach is.
Yeah, so I can give you a real world example, really simple one, and I think there's a lot of people might be watching this, have been in or in this position. Small business, family-run business, 5 people. They're they call them transport services. They're basically a removals firm, but a commercial and residential, and pretty much everything's run off of an email account. Just at the time, it was just like a 123 reg freebie email account, and everything was run out of that. And they got a breach. And the only reason they found out they got a breach is because they weren't getting replies from customers. And someone had gone in and just put a rule in their email that said, if someone sends an email with this in the subject line, delete it. And they were trying to use their email account. There was nothing useful in there, but they were trying to use it just to send out more spam and more kind of phishing attacks. Again, Paul will go into this, what a phishing attack is, but trying to get people to give away their passwords. They spoke to a friend in IT who said, you need to call Blucando, spoke to us and said, right, first things first, what's in the email account? Does it have access to anything else? It's just email address and password. We don't use that password for anything else. Right. We think we know what it was because we had an email 3-4 weeks ago saying, you need to change your password. I was clicking the link and ended up it was still working, and I wasn't really sure why I was putting this password in, but ended up ignoring it. But right, we found the email. Yeah, that's not what you think it was. Anyway, so what's in here? Well, we have people emailing us saying, we're moving house, and we'll email back saying, okay, well, where are you? Where are you going to? When are you moving? So there's some useful information it's probably more useful information to a physical criminal who knows that someone's moving house, because you could get into that process one way or another. I said, well, how many people said, oh, but we've only got really small email accounts. We have to delete emails after a period of time. So there's about 3 months worth of emails in here. I said, so what have you done? So, well, there's about 100 customers I think this has affected, and I think they've been emailed out to this. And I've rung every single one of them, and I've told them what's happened. And if they get emails from us, right, and so so you've told them all, they're aware that they're now going to be slightly more cautious. Great, okay, right. So do I need to report this to the ICO? I said, well, let me call them, and frame the question. And the question, almost like they just press a button and play this statement, is, can you be reasonably sure that there's no impact on people's health, well-being, or security? Well, from a security perspective, there's no customer passwords, no logins to things. Security of them personally, well, they're all aware that this has happened. Yes, someone knows where they live, but these are all, you can find stuff in the phone book. You can Google their name and find out their address. So they were like, don't really worry about that. And we fielded this with some of the customers, reinforced the questions. Their well-being, again, and they said, look, we've spoken to everyone, we've told everyone. I said, look, this is what the person's done. And they were like, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. You've gone above me. And what are you going to do to stop it happening again? We're now migrating them to Microsoft 365. We're going to put two-factor authentication of password. We're now going to manage their IT. They know if they get anything, they come to us. We've got filtering, and they were like, oh, yeah, brilliant. Well done. Thanks for looking after them. No need to report it.
Good.
That was it. That was the end of it.
If you're interested in having a look and seeing what Google knows about your website and what data it holds, you were referring to old out-of-date pages that you may have forgotten about, and maybe you're not that technically literate and you've got somebody doing it for you, go to Google and put the word S-I-T-E, site, and a colon, and then your URL, and Google will return every single page for your website. You can do it for any website in actual fact, but site, S-I-T-E, colon, and then the URL. Then bookmark that search in your browser and go and just look at it every 3 to 6 months and make sure that any of the pages on it are what you want there. And I have, over the years, when I've done that, I found an interview between David Cameron and Barack Obama when he was a senator, unedited footage. I found meeting notes for many councils in Excel spreadsheets, many councils, and trading notes between hedge funds. And all I did was put their URL in with the word site in front of it, and it returned every single page that's been indexed and every single file. And you can even do it for file type. So if you're looking for a particular file type, you type in file type colon, and then, some other operators, and it will return all the spreadsheets that it can find. And all of this is out there. And there was a recent case where a guy got arrested because he found some meeting notes from a local council that proved that they were in collusion with a developer, and he released it to the press, and they came after him and arrested him, took him away, and he was like, I Googled the information. All I literally did was go to Google and type in the information, and this document came up, which was subsequently removed. And he shared it with the journalist, and they were like, you hacked in, and he said, I did a Google search, and they had to sort of apologise and release him, and they were able to sort of let him go and say, oh,
Yeah. We'll now know what our first job is when we leave.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Lisa.
Going back to one of the other back in my corporate life, I've used a couple of different years now. What's the best?
The easiest thing to do is literally rename a version of a document and delete the previous version or archive it off. That's the easiest way to do it. There are things built in, so you can, within, say, SharePoint in Microsoft 365, you can deploy a site which is specifically around document management. So you have to check documents out, check documents in, check in to say that here's a new version of a document. It takes quite a bit of management, though. Again, if you're talking there's a handful of people in your business, 10, 15, 20 people, is it really worth investing all the time and effort for someone to manage that when you can go, well, the new version's out now, that's it, and just move the old version away.
Especially if they've only got access to that folder. If you know that you're doing that check once every 4 months and you're updating the version in that folder and getting rid of anything that's old, and they can only access that folder.
Yeah.
That's kind of...
From a corporate perspective, you need to evidence...
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, if you've got a central place where they're stored and they're being accessed in that central place and you end up with 2 people editing it, if you're both online, so Google Drive and Microsoft 365, you should see each other online. If you weren't online, then it syncs the document up, it'll go, hold on a minute, there's now another version. What do you want to do? You're going to merge, you're going to create a secondary one, and then you've got to use a bit of human intelligence. But some of the smarter stuff to do really around version control. If it's a document that shouldn't be changed or only a certain person should be editing, is think about write permissions and read permissions. Because I see a lot of people opening a document and then accidentally changing it when they never need to change that document, but they start to fill it in and go, oh, no, save as, right? Save as first. Yeah. But you can do your stuff read-only. So. And templates. Not a lot of people know about templates. So in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, you can save a document in template format. And then you can edit that template just like a normal Office document. But the idea is that when you double-click the template, so instead of PPTX for PowerPoint, it'd be POTX. And instead of DOTX for Word, it's DOT. No, I think it's DOTX. Can't remember now. Anyway, and when you double-click it, it creates a whole new document, brand new, unnamed, but with the content. And then you can go and save it and work on it. So it's another way of stopping people accidentally editing things.
Just on that,
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that they introduced that autosave, which was amazing at the beginning, and now it's like, oh, don't, because you open it up and you like consciously, especially because I've used the previous versions of Word and everything, which was never there, so you always used to go to a document, start doing it, and then save as, and then now the autosave kicks in.
Yeah.
Before you know it, they're like, oh.
Save as first, or in File Explorer, right-click, copy, right-click, paste,
Exactly.
brand new
But
document, start working on
it.
it. Yeah.
Since they brought it catches a lot of people.
If you use Google, if you type in the word sheets.new, it will give you a brand new spreadsheet and what is their Word version?
Oh, I can never remember the name of it. Pages. That's Apple.
But anyway, you type in the name of the product, .new, like calendar. You type in cal.new, it will give you a brand new calendar entry that you can just type into your primary calendar again. So that's quite useful to have those as bookmarks. You just click them and you get an immediately new document.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not version control, that's new document control, but it gives you a quick little shortcut.
Yeah, so my question is about sort of at what point does the control of data leave my responsibility? So, for example, if I have a new employee, I take the details down on a new starter form, you take a scan of that, send it to the accountant does what they need to do. So at what point in that process does it stop becoming my responsibility?
It doesn't.
So do I need to know what the accountant does with their data?
You need to assess your suppliers and understand from your perspective what you... So the effect that it has when you provide them data that you've had some accountability for, you've now subcontracted a service to them, you should really go through some kind of, even a rudimentary supplier assessment to basically say, right, where do you store my data? How do you secure access to your systems? Do you have disk encryption? Do you have two-factor authentication? Do you have a starter-leaver process? And they could just answer yes to all this stuff, and you go, I've assessed that supplier, and they've told me they've got, might not want to evidence it. You're not going to send an auditor in to your accountant. I do 2 hours a week for you, man. Jesus, you're going to send an auditor in for a day. But at least you can have a light assessment to go, I'm just going to poke this with a stick. And they go, and most people, what they do is they go, oh, no. I don't do that, actually. That's a good idea. I should probably do that. And then,
Reasonable care, and if you've gone to your supplier and you've said, do you do that? And they've gone, oh, yeah, we do that. And then they're found not to. It's not new. You took reasonable steps.
The other thing it touches on something we were talking about earlier is ask to see a copy of their ICO certificate. Because if you send your data to someone who's not registered with the ICO, that's your problem, not theirs. And so do make sure that any supplier, like your accountant, just say, can I see a copy of my ICO certificate?
yeah.
And they should be able to see that people or put it on screen. Whatever.
Even quicker way, go and look at their website. If they've got privacy policy and it doesn't mention anything about GDPR, they probably haven't thought about it. And if they don't have a privacy policy at all, then they need. But it is a concern.
Just quickly, if an employee is taking business data, like they get sacked or leave or whatever, and they're taking data from your business, is it illegal fundamentally, or is it down to contracts?
So you need to have the right contracts in place with them.
Yeah.
Think about what you told your customers their data is going to be used for. You've told your customer their data will only be used for these purposes within your business and your business only.
So it's not illegal
but then someone else, well, you've broken your contract with your customer if someone else takes that data and uses it in another business.
Right.
But if you put reasonable steps in place to try and stop this, and again, recruitment's the killer one. So, company we onboarded last year, 75-seat business, got their own IT department, you name it, they've done it. It's brilliant, right? They've got all the security in place, they've got flags, if someone sends an email with attachment, it's got to be approved by an administrator to leave the system before it goes. They have thought of everything, but they know that someone that left last year set up a business based on the data they've got access to. They know that they have. And I said, you can't stop them taking a photograph of the screen, you can't stop them writing stuff down, and you can't stop people remembering things. And I know a recruitment owner said, have a photographic memory. I remember every client, every candidate I've ever placed for 30 years. I know mobile numbers, all in my brain. People can't stop me using that information because I haven't taken the data, I've remembered it. But it's down to the contract they've got with the person they've left to say, well, you won't use any information.
It's a business-to-business contract. It's not illegal within the UK government to do it.
Well, no, it depends on your employee as well, the contract. If it says there's a non-compete and you cannot take data from us and then go and reuse it, you cannot stop somebody, as Ben says, remembering and having a conversation outside of your business. That's just the way it is. But if they wholesale downloaded a spreadsheet of customer supplier information and are using it, the employment contract should say, you're not allowed to do that, and if you do, then we'll come after you.
But it'd be a matter for suing business to business rather than the police coming and knocking on your door and going, you stole data.
Well, they have access to the data. You gave them permission. Rather than a third party.
So recruitment's such an easy industry to pick on because of just So and the amount of people I know who in that industry and people who do email marketing and I know a very reputable business based in London who do a lot of email marketing, a lot of social media marketing, and they're really hot on buying and selling data. They've got a team of lawyers. They know exactly. GDPR came in there and said, not worried about it. Just not worried about it because I'll tick all the boxes, I'll secure my systems, which is secure anyway, I'll register all the things I've got to register, but my business is processing, selling, buying and leveraging personal information. And as long as I fill in all the assessments and I make sure this data doesn't leak anywhere, and I know I've got a tick in a box somewhere that says, I will allow you to contact me about, I carry on. Recruitment is a tricky one because one of the best tools for recruiters is LinkedIn. Every candidate, every client, your friends on social media of their personal LinkedIn account. If you were to then sack someone, you can't say, well, you need to unfriend these 1,000 people you've met while working here. They're like, no, I'm our friends. He's the godfather of my child now, I can't defriend him. Yes, he's a client, yes, or a candidate, but yeah, they just have to go.
I think also people develop personal relationships when you work with people. So you have take out all the data, but you have relationships. So recruitment is a good example. You have relationships with people within the industry.
Yeah.
So when you move somewhere else, you say, oh, I placed somebody 2 years ago would be great in your business. I know that we're still friends and I'll give them a call if they want to move. And it's a relationship and it's really hard, I think,
The bit you should worry about more and the stuff you should probably keep close to your chest a little bit in your business when you're employing people is your strategy, is your strategic relationships, your supplier relationships, your pricing with your suppliers. That's the stuff you really need to it seems to just magically happen for everyone that works in your business. But this is all, cloak and dagger stuff because that's the value of your business is how you turn £1 into £2. Who you sell to is irrelevant because if they steal that data and try to sell but they can't do it as cheap as you or can't do it as well as you, don't have the secret ingredient, they're just going to come back. And we see this a lot with, especially again in recruitment, we see a lot of, I'll go with this startup, and then they go, yeah, there's only 2 of them, I'm not getting the service I got before, they might be cheaper, but, and then they come back to the original company and go, hi, sorry, we're back.
We had it with Webber. I employed somebody to do some sales and some social media, and he left after 3 months, it didn't work out. And then I got a phone call from one of my customers saying, why did you let this person go? He said, I did. He said, he's just phoned me saying that he's working with someone better and you're going out of business, so, would you like to? I went, oh, really, did you? So I phoned him up immediately, walked him off, and I phoned his boss up and said, you do realise this is what he's doing, so this is what he'll do when he leaves you. And And she was a bit blustery, and then actually she sent me an email saying, thank you very much for keeping a close eye on it. And I thought, I got rid of trouble there.
Yeah.
Because if you do that in a large business, in a big industry, maybe it's more accepted. I know it happens in sales. You know, salesmen move from company to company and take customers with them. In a small business, it's way more relationship driven. And so somebody doing that is not going to get far anyway, but it's worth bearing in mind that there are people out there who will try anything to sort of leverage an advantage. But, yeah.
I mean, it's a slightly broader conversation. It's slightly off topic, but you know, with a lot of sessions like this where everyone says your business needs to run without you. Your business has no value unless it can run without you. You should be able to take 3 months off, and your business still works, and everything still happens. But at the same time, you need to be the thing that makes your business different, unique. You need to be the one that's got the secret ingredient, the secret recipe, because that's your value as well. And it's a really difficult bit to tread on. You need to know that 80% of your business can just, people will come through the door, buy the thing and leave. But you're going to be the secret ingredient that brings that new product into launch and strikes up that new deal that helps you be more competitive or finds a way to launch unit, shop, business number 2. So it's yeah. I mean, so when it comes to your data as well, it's knowing all these secret ingredients, who really needs access to this, who has got access to it, and how do you protect it?
Yeah, I think you've made a good point, and I think as well, people worry about people leaving their business and setting up in competition to them or whatever. I mean, I've been doing I do security for 25 years now. I've lost count a number of times that I've signed an NDA and sat in a room with somebody who's assured me that their business idea is unique. And I'm sat there and going, no, I've heard this 3 times before. Yeah. Because people think it's unique, but it really isn't. And at the end of the day, my view of it is, it's like a competitor. I never ever worry about what my competitors are doing. I don't care what they're doing. It's a big pond. There's lots of fish in it. I'm plowing my way across the pond. They can do whatever they like. I know where I'm going. And it's going to be the same for everybody else. Don't worry about the competition. Worry about you.
Yeah.
Only worry about your competition getting access to your data. I tell you what, I guarantee you, if you did it with enough of your competitors, you would find stuff on their website that they didn't even know was there, that was freely accessible to anybody who could get to them.
So I don't know which competitor it is, but I know one of my competitors, someone within their business pretended to be a potential customer of ours to kind of pressure test us and ask us lots of questions and give us a run through and ask for a proposal and costings and copies of and da-da-da. Could you, well, let me come and meet you. I don't really have time. Let me come and meet you. Well, can we have a Zoom chat? I'd really like to look at the system. Happy to do an NDA, and then let's get an NDA signed. Went away. It just smelt wrong, felt wrong. Everything was wrong about it, and I'm pretty sure I know which one it is. But they were just trying to get data. They were trying to get data out of my business, and I had to protect that data. Again, Paul will talk more about this kind of stuff next week. But yeah, knowing where your data is and what your data is, what does data mean, is really, really important before you go and put that security system in place to protect it.
Any more questions about data security? I'm sure there'll be plenty of opportunities to talk to Paul next week about passwords and the stuff that you touched on.
Yeah, echoing that, he's a lot of fun, brilliant. I've seen him a few times. I've had a lot of very good conversations. You'll really enjoy next week.
One question. Yes.
It's a genuinely interesting question. I'd like to get someone else's view on it. What do you think? Because obviously now there's lots of emphasis on multi-factor authentication. But what do you think is the best way of doing multi-factor?
So everyone's used to the default. I log on to something, I get a code on my mobile phone, I get a text message. Pretty rife in the US. This some evidence that this is happening in the UK, but when there's a difference between phishing and spear phishing. Phishing is a general casting a net out. I'm going to send out a link that makes people click on stuff, and hopefully I'll get their passwords and I might log on to something. Spear phishing is a term to say, I'm targeting that person. So in a spear phishing campaign, the first thing I want to do is I want to get your password. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay off someone at O2 to get ready to flip your mobile number over to a new SIM card just before I then go log on as you, MFA code, get the code, log in, and I'm in. Loads of it's happening in the US. About 4,000 evidence cases and several prosecutions. And basically, they're just bribing people. They're bribing people who work for their version of O2, Vodafone, etc., in call centres, just flipping numbers, or the guy in the shop. Because you can just press buttons and move mobile numbers around. Essentially, yeah, but it's even simpler than that. It's literally, like when you get a new phone, you need to have a new shape SIM for it. They port your number. They point the number at a new SIM card. They're literally just doing a standard process. And then their phone number stops working, and then move it back. Before anyone knows what's happened, you've got into the system. So, I think you've got to be quite a high net worth individual for them to pay that £2,000 bribe to someone and go to all that effort. But yeah, there's apps, there's authenticator apps where you get a revolving code coming round, and again, there's evidence that that can be breached because some people then, I'm going to back up my authenticator code to my personal, and this is what Microsoft, you can only, like the Microsoft Authenticator app, you can only back up your Authenticator app entries to a personal Microsoft account, not a business one. Oh, come on, hurry up and sort this out. Google's is fairly similar. Well, no, it's an oversight, I think, on their part, really. Yeah. It's like one of their million feature requests on their website somewhere. So the Authenticator app's pretty good because you've got a revolving code. Now, still think about what you're logging onto a web because, and we've seen this working live, actually seen it happening live. Client says, got a link, Microsoft, and I signed in, and it keeps failing. My MFA code from my app keeps failing. What's actually happening is the link that they clicked on wasn't going to the Microsoft 365 login page. It looked very, very similar. And there's someone live watching what someone's putting in. They've really targeted this person. The guy sat in this hacker's call center in whichever foreign country it is, and the big business this is, very big business. So they've got gyms, canteens, healthcare benefits, bonuses, people in tiers working with each other to target people and scam money out of people. Multi-billion-dollar business. So you put your email address in, and they see it coming up on their screen. And then you put your password in. There's your password. And then you put your MFA code, and they go copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. Right, I'm in. So even though you had a multi-factor authentication challenge, they'd still clicked on a link that wasn't the right thing. And protecting yourself from that against that stuff is never click on a link on any email that says, log on to Argos now, log on to Amazon now, log on to 365 now. Screw you, website, office.com. Going in the way I know. I'm going to use the door that I know is the right door, not the door that you're going, oh no, this is the way to go over here.
I get loads at the moment for saying that I'm using pictures on my website, but I'm just getting constant.
Just delete them.
Yeah, in fact, just delete them. Don't worry, I replied to it. Maybe I shouldn't have replied to it. I replied to it saying, I don't know you, I don't know this. Send me pictures of what I'm using.
This is their equivalent of got my foot in the door. You still got the chain on the door, but they're like, here we go.
Is that as bad as clicking on the link?
Not as bad, no, but just they know you're a person.
Yeah, but then they know that
The dial gets turned up. Yeah, the dial gets turned up.
They'll sell me to someone else.
Yeah. You go from the first line team to the second line team, basically, in some of these places. But just if you're ever not sure, if you get something you genuinely think, I just don't know, there's a load of tricks. Hover over the link, see what the web address actually goes to. Double click on the email, the name or the email address, and make sure it's the email address going to. If you're still not sure and you think it's from someone you know or a business you know, I might just forward this to a known email address for them saying, did you send this? But what if they've been hacked? Sometimes pick up the phone. And not the number on the email, the number you know. You can report. You can, in theory, report it to the police. And they'll go, oh, brilliant, another one.
The only useful thing to report it to, if you are using the Office 365, is forwarded to an email that's called phishing@office365.com.
Yeah.
Because then they will, if they get enough of those, they will flag that email as stop the problem with other people. But the problem is that these people generate email addresses by 1 million every day.
There is a website out there that will check your passwords to make sure But this is where it gets, it's a useful service because you put your password and it tells you if that's been found in a data breach. The problem with it is you have to put your password in. So it's, you know.
Yeah,
Some of the password managers will tell you when you type in the password whether or not it's been found in the data breach. So a password manager is good nowadays.
yeah. I mean, I did the stupid thing. I had a bunch of random sites over the year. All my passwords are cached into a specific Google account I use just for that purpose. And I got the little security flag just to let you know this email address and password combo have been found, because Google and others are a part of a conglomerate that buy this data or get copies of data that's been sold on the dark web, feed it into databases and help people know that this is out there for sale. And it said, look, this email address password combo has been found in a breach approximately 6 months ago, you know, and then it's just kind of, we've got a copy of it now. And I go, oh, I've used that on 30 websites. Right, I'm going to go through and go and change my password on all these websites. Simple as that. And then I thought, well, hold on a minute, I've also got 4 or 5 other passwords that I'd commonly use for chunks. Oh, right, Friday night, bottle of wine, TV on, unique passwords for every website. I just went through the pain of doing it. And now it's just by default, new website, username, suggest a password, blah, 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 password, cache it into Chrome. I've got every security feature turned on my Google account. I'm happy that I've got that in place. Just don't have to worry.
We're going to wind up now. That's fantastic. The point of it is you cannot make something 100% secure. And the moment you start thinking that you're entering into dodgy territory, it's a little bit like a house. If somebody really wants to get in, they're going to get in. But if you've got a dog, you've got a CCTV and an alarm and a load of security fences, they're going to go somewhere that's a lot easier to get into. So, you know, just put your fortresses up, speak to Ben. Fantastic offer, 1 hour kickstart session.
I like that. Kick-ass session, that's it, yeah.
And you'll get at least an idea, a snapshot of all the top level stuff that you should be thinking about and doing. So once again, thanks very much.
No, thank you. Thank you.